What's up, sugar junkies? So we talked a bit about carb addiction and kind of where I was at, and now we're going to dig a little deeper into it, and we're going to get started. This is going to be day one of probably a long, long slog. So, the amount of weight that I'm going to have to lose is pretty daunting. I'm looking at probably a good 50 pounds, 60 pounds probably by the time all is said and done, maybe even 65, but we'll have to see when we get there. So I'm going to start by giving you a few stats here, just so you know what I'm starting with and how I'm going to get there. So to start out, I'm weighing in at 254 pounds. Oh, it hurts to even say that. Anyway, I got to get down probably to about 185 or 190. So there's going to be, this is not going to happen overnight. And because I'm dealing with carb addiction, you need to know the most important thing I can tell you is that there's no shortcuts here and there's no easy ways to take care of this. If you're like me, you have an addiction and there's no middle ground here. You can't treat yourself. If I were an alcoholic, I wouldn't be treating myself to a beer once a week for being a good boy and not drinking beer all week. That's the best way that I can describe this for you. So, the key here is going to be to dry ourselves out of carbs completely. It's going to be very difficult. This first week is going to be almost like torture. So, if you can get through that, things will be much simpler. So, a couple of things for you. I'm 254. My waist is 46 inches. 46 inches. I don't even want to say it. And I also measure my arms when I start out, just because, you're probably thinking, well, why do your arms matter? You're not going to have to worry about fitting into shirts with your arms and that kind of thing. But for me, it's a matter of when I'm doing this, I'm also going to try to maintain what muscle I have underneath. And the one good thing you have when you're a fatty, when you're overweight, is you can maintain, believe it or not, you tend to have more muscle composition underneath your fat. So, if you've never worked out a day in your life, you're going to have less. If you have a history of being athletic or working out, you're going to have more. Now, in the meantime, because this is going to be a long road for some of you, shorter road for others, but, the longer your road, the more time you have to start getting your body composition into a little better order, which means you are going to be working out at some point. I wouldn't suggest it right away, especially depending what kind of shape you're in. For me, the first month, I am not going to do any working out aside from possibly walking a little bit, depending, I live in the northern tundra, so it depends how cold it is. And maybe getting on a stationary bike for 20 minutes to do a little bit of cardio. The reason I don't do much in the first month is because, my body is just so beat up and out of shape right now. I don't want to put any extra stress on it. There's one thing I want to do. I have one goal here, and that's to just get myself to unhook my brain from carbs. It's very hard to do. And like I said, there's no magic here. What am I going to do that? There's not, I wish I could give you some magic words or something that really works perfectly, but you're going to have to suffer for a few weeks. The good news is if you can get past those few weeks, you're going to feel great. And there's going to be a switch that goes off 3 or 4 weeks. It's probably a little bit different for everybody. There will be a switch that goes off in your head or your body or whatever, where you suddenly just stop, those cravings stop. I like to call it drying out just because I feel like it's out of my system and I just don't crave it anymore. It's probably mental. It probably has nothing to do with it coming out of my system. I don't have any science to back it up either way. I just know what works for me. And I think that if you get to that point, you'll feel great and the same, it'll work the same for you. But you guys will have to let me know in the comments. Now, the most important thing I'm going to tell you here is, aside from no carbs, there's really only 2 rules that you need to follow. The 2 most steadfast rules. Don't eat past 6 or 7 o'clock at night. You can pick. It depends how late you go to sleep. And just cut all of your breads and sugars and heavy carbs out. I would cut out Anything that you know you love and is kind of addictive and you're eating on a daily basis, you're probably going to have to cut it out if it's got carbs in it. Bread, pasta, cereal, sugar, baked goods, sweets, chips, anything like that. I don't even eat potatoes really. Rice, I can seem to handle rice. I don't go crazy over rice. It doesn't trigger me. So I probably will have a bit of rice in my meals. Um, you know, I don't, it doesn't really harm me. You'll have to see how that works for you. A lot of this is a learning process. I have gained and lost weight a few times over my life, and I know what works and what doesn't. So you're going to have to kind of experiment with a few things, but the keys are you're going to cut those carbs almost to nothing. You don't really have to count calories, in my experience, but we can get a little deeper into that later. But I would say for your first month, all you're going to need to do is stop eating past 6 or 7 o'clock. You can pick your time, but stick to it and cut out your carbs. If you can do those two things, it's not magic. It's very simple. You're going to be well on your way. This is going to be the start for the first month. So this is my day one. And I will give you updates. I'll let you know like where I'm at. I'll show you. I'm going to splice in a little picture of me at my gym. I know not everyone has a good home gym. I have a pretty solid one in the basement of my office. But you don't need much to do this. And like I said, in the first month, you're not going to be doing any exercise. And after that, you can improvise at home, or you could get a gym membership. It doesn't really matter. If you're not comfortable going to a gym, when you have a lot of weight on you, I understand how that is. Sometimes you just don't want to be seen in public, or you don't want to be seen in that venue. You can do something at home, but we'll get to that. Doesn't really matter at this point. The only reason I would suggest you do some kind of cardio or exercise at all at this point would maybe be just as a motivator, because it makes you feel good. But I wouldn't burn myself out or go crazy. So if you're doing anything, keep it mild. What else do I have here? That's it. These first 4 weeks are going to be very, very critical. But we have to cut off the pipeline of sugar to the brain. If you can do this, if you can cut that supply, your brain is going to hate you for a few weeks. And then after a few weeks, it's going to love you. Your body's going to love you. And I think that should be the key. If you can do that, you're going to be all right. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will give you an update probably in about a day or two. We'll see how things go. I'm probably going to give pretty frequent updates to begin with, just to tell you how difficult this struggle is, and we'll go over a couple other things, and we'll see if what kind of things we all have in common and what kind of things are different. I really want to know people's opinions, and I really want to know if I have a feeling that a lot of us are in the same boat. So my humble home gym, office gym, whatever you want to call it, you don't need much. And honestly, what I have here is overkill. You don't need anything close to this. But I'm pretty heavy into weights at times. Anyway, your workout only needs to be about 30 minutes a day, and it doesn't need to be anything too crazy. You don't even really need to incorporate weights at all if you don't want to. Anyway, not bad. To show you what I'm working with here, 254 pounds, front, side, pretty severe guy. Lots of work to do. By the way, final measurements for my first day. 254 pounds, 46-inch waist, maybe a little bit bigger, but we'll just say 46. I have I wrote it down here, 44-inch chest, which will go down to about 42 only, I hope, and 16-inch arms. So I got work to do. My goal here is to take all the weight off of my waist, but actually keep my arms where they're at, maintain them. So we'll see. If I can do that, that means I maintained a lot of muscle when I go down. But honestly, I don't even really care about that. My only goal here at this point is to lose the actual, the mental addiction to carbs. It'll never fully go away, by the way, but after a month it gets easier, and then you can manage it. The goal here is to be able to manage it and live your life like a normal human being. I think that most carb addicts aren't creatures of moderation. They say everything is good in moderation, which is actually true for most people. But if you have an addiction to something, you can't moderate that addiction. It just doesn't work. So the goal here is to just live with it, but in the most comfortable way possible. Anyway, I think I've rambled enough. Tell me what you think of my gym that I'm not really using much right now, but at least you'll get a look at it. And like I said, in the comments below, you just let me know what your starting weight is, what your goal weight is, how you plan on get there. I'd love to know. And the next video will be a little bit about dealing with my first day, and we'll probably go over some crazy addiction stories. And I'll want to hear some of yours as well. All right, hope you subscribe. I'm planning to do a whole bunch more of these on a very regular basis, and I hope it helps. Till next time, Sugar Junkies,